little farewell party here, and we're going to take our lines and our power cords here. I've just got to make it tidy before I leave here, haven't we? Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you for being here with us. We hope you can come back soon.
Yeah, I hope so. That actually got quite a bit hectic leaving, because one of the guys who I thought he knew what he was doing, he left it dangling, and then in the end it ended up in the water, and here I am under motor. That's the last thing I want, is a line in my prop. So I had to do, and there were some other boats in the way as well, so a little bit of quick manoeuvring was needed there, forward and reverse, and then I had to slow down, stop almost to kind of pick up that line before I had the problem with the prop. Anyway, we've got plenty of deep water now. It's 15 feet at the moment, which is good. Oh no, it suddenly went down to nothing. Oh, there we go. I suddenly saw it drop from 15 to 4. Maybe there was a fish. That's always a worry. Anyway, new cruise ship is in. The buses are taking everyone into town. Carnival with Radiance, this one. And plenty of container ships as well. It's quite a big port, Ensenada. So off we are. We're about to go into Baja Todos Santos again. Keeping an eye on my depth, should have no problem now actually. But, so there's the port. I took this picture trying to show again sea lions lounging around on the base of the mark, one with its flipper up in the air. I suddenly realised that I'd not got my sail ready, so at least I've unzipped the stack pack, so that's ready to go up. There's so little wind that I didn't think about my sail. I was expecting to motor, and we got the fenders in. I've got to pack those away. Anyway, but I stopped in the harbour here just to do that. So the sail is ready. I angled the solar panel, is more ready for a southerly journey, and need to get my ensign off it, so where it's got caught somewhere. So there's the view of the harbour as we come towards, and looking towards Ensenada, of course. Interesting. Looks as though the ship is under tow. I've just diverted a little bit to make sure they see I'm avoiding them. And a little bit of swell, not much. And you can see even the ripples on the water, hardly any wind at all. So very warm, well, relatively warm actually. I have discarded a few layers. A bit of haze on the water. It's supposed to be overnight. That should go quite soon. We're heading southwest, and then once we get around the point here, which is 8 miles, an hour or two, an hour and a half away maybe, then we'll be heading south. So that ship, say clearly, looks as though it's being towed by the barge there, or the tug. They're definitely towing. Yeah, I think it is actually a barge, effectively. Not something that's under its own motive power. I don't see any sign of any. There's no one on board. It's just being towed by that tug ahead. So just wonder what it's doing, what it's used for. So we're back on course now for that point ahead, which we'll round in order to go south. My job now is to get rid of these fenders. I have rather a lot of them, to stow away securely now. So we've got the fenders neatly stowed away now. Did that. The ones, 3 on one side, 3 on the other. And now I've got to deal with the lines, the mooring lines, dock lines that were are just lying around waiting to be stowed neatly. There's the point we're aiming for. Get round that and head south. The wind ahead is almost exactly our speed over the ground, showing that there really is no wind. Story of my life for the last few months, I think. Anyway, hopefully at some point we will get some wind, if only just to fly the Genoa. But I've got the mainsail ready to go just in case it gets a bit stronger. Over the weekend it might do, but we could be too far south by then. We'll just have to see how it plays out in practice. In the meantime, I think it's definitely coffee time. I had a bit of a coffee in the office when I went to see them, the Marina office, but I think it's time for a decent coffee, so that's what I'm going to do now. Just check my course, check that we're okay, and get some coffee going. Here we are coming out of, heading out from the Baja Todos Santos towards the point to the southwest. After which we'll be able to head south. So I've got my coffee, well my coffee's about to go on, so that'll be very pleasant. I'm feeling really thirsty at the moment. Lovely sunny day though, and I'm actually not wrapped up as much as I had been coming down here, so I think the temperature must be up slightly. That's really, really good. And my cold is doing really well, unfortunately, but I think it's easing, I think it's getting better. I'm not coughing and spluttering quite so much. There are quite a few rocks off the point here, so you have to give it pretty good clearance, which we're trying to do. Should be fine. Keeping an eye on our depth, of course, which is presently nearly 200 feet, so no problem at the moment, but definitely giving the headland a really wide berth. Pretty nasty stuff to meet up with unexpectedly. Clearly I stand corrected. The mountain is Pico Banda, Banded Peak, and the headland is called Cabo Punta Banda, and round the corner there's a little headland, a point called Punta Banda. So there must be some banded rocks or something around here for it to have all that name. So here's the chart showing our route and the line of rocks coming away from the cape. Pretty impressive, very dramatic. And on the other side, over to starboard, was the Isla de Todos Santos. Again, very rocky, a lot of rocks around it, somewhere to keep well clear of. So there might be a building or two on there. And the island also looked very, very rocky. Plenty of scattered rocks off the shore of the island. Pretty nasty. A couple of little fishing boats out there. There's a very good fish market in Ensenada, so they're possibly coming in with their fish ready for the market. Just a couple of them, quite small. And another look back at that line of jagged rocks. I found them quite hypnotic. I really couldn't take my eyes off them for long, even though I was trying to see whether there were any little fish boats around. So here were these two boats. I zoomed in to get a good look at them as they passed by that island nearby. So we're rounding the point at the moment, and or Cabo Pico Banda, whichever. And we're looking head on down that line of rocks in 300 feet of water, so plenty deep enough, all fine. And if we look round at this side, we've got a good view of that little island, Isla de Todos Santos. Again, we're looking for quite a few rocks around that. So pretty rocky. And every now and then I'm catching sight of a sea lion. There was one lying on the void, on the marker that I photographed earlier, with its flipper up in the air. They often seem to do that. I think it's a cooling thing. I can't believe that they're really needing to cool down. It's not that warm. It's very pleasant, mind you. Certainly out of the wind. I've got the sun shining on me and it's making me feel quite warm. And I'm really enjoying my coffee. So now we can clearly head south. We're well away from those rocks and clear path for the next day or so on probably pretty well the same course, so long as the wind permits, of course, and at the moment it's doing nothing to prevent us going whichever way we want. There is no wind. So here we are, well south now of Cabo Punta Banda, and here's our typical Baja arid scenery. Always very dramatic, very mountainous, quite steep, and the sun is out, not a cloud in the sky, but no wind either, so almost nothing. If you look at the flag, just about lifting but from ahead, so absolutely no good for sailing. What a pity. Anyway, we'll see how things go later. I just realised that I still had a few lines to tidy up and stow away, but then as soon as I've done that, I'm going to get down below and start cooking, because I normally like to have a meal ready for the first couple of days of a passage. And while it's relatively calm, we've got a bit of swell, but we're rocking about from side to side a little bit. But the swell is, oh, I don't know, a couple of feet maybe at most, so it's not too bad. So while things are nice and calm, I'm going to make a meal and have food for another couple of days already. All I have to do is heat it up. Hey, we've actually got the genoa flying. The wind is still very light, but it is coming from the west. I think that's probably a land effect, the heating of the land, that we're going down off to port is bringing the wind in from starboard. So yeah, I don't think it's made us speed up any at all in fact, but yeah, it's nice to see the new Genoa up and in action, fully out. Way. Okay, we're looking at the Genoa flying. I've not bothered putting the main up. I'm being a bit lazy, I have to say, but there's not much wind. So I'm putting out the Genoa, see whether it helps us at all. I'm not sure it is. I don't think we've speeded up at all, but at least it's flying. Crossing a big bay, so the land is slowly getting further away. So there we go. You can see there's not much wind, but by the way the ensign is flying. Well, the wind has definitely gone ahead now. Well, the apparent wind that is, which is what matters, and it's only just under 5 knots, 4 to 5 knots, and we've actually slowed down a bit, and it's flapping. The sail is flapping. It's really not doing a lot, so I'm going to have to take it in. What a pity. Oh well, at least it gave me a chance to sort out some lines and the sheets and make sure that everything was free and ready to run properly. It's amazing how often you think you've got it all sorted, and then when you try it out, it's not quite right. So it was good to have the chance to do that. Oh well, so there we are. I've had to take the Genoa in. We've got 3 knots of apparent wind, so 3-4 knots of apparent wind. Just too close. It was just flopping around, not doing anything, not drawing. And yeah, in fact, interestingly though, I've just discovered that I was looking for, yeah, there we go. So I've just noticed that my log impeller must be running, because I was getting a 0 boat knots down to Ensenada, but now clearly it thinks we're going, well, the impeller thinks we're going at 4 knots. I think it's probably still a bit gunged. I don't think that's accurate, so it needs calibrating, but we'll see what we can do about that. But for the moment, we'll get there. Around 6.5 knots or so, just over, maybe a little bit more, or maybe we're averaging about 7. It dodges about so much, it's difficult to say. Anyway, I think it's time I actually did the cooking that I thought I was going to get done earlier, because I haven't done anything so far, just been playing around. It's just so nice to be back on the water, messing about with the boat, getting familiar with things, all these new line colours, all the sheets and everything are a different colour, and checking that the lines run properly. So just slowly getting back into being on board the boat, which is fine. I mean, you know, it's just a lovely day, it's very calm, very peaceful. Our land is a bit of a distance away, which is quite nice. And I'm actually feeling relatively warm. Mind you, I am still in my woolly socks, I'm still in several layers, but the layers are a lot less than they were. I haven't got any fleeces on, which is just amazing. That's the first time for a long time. So down I go and try and get on with that cooking I promised myself to get done, ready for this evening. It's 5:20. I've finished my cooking, which is great. Just in time because the sun is beginning to go down. But in the distance this way, interestingly, I found that I was right close to Baja and Cabo I think that it is also, which is a place that I anchored around the corner there. Very safe place to be in bad weather. So interesting. It's got quite a steep cliff face on the edge there. If I can, no, I can't seem to increase the. Ah, there we are. I think we can see, just about see where it is now. Red face catching the red cliff face catching the sunlight, and then on the other side, of course, we have the sun setting, and a tiny little cloud up there. That's the only one I've ever seen today. All day long it's been clear blue sky with a tiny touch of cloud just over there. But the sun is going down, and I think it's time maybe to have a very small. Oh, one thing I've noticed by the way is the swell is increasing. It's coming from the west as forecast, and it's getting a little bit bigger. Maybe 1 meter, 3 feet now, whereas it used to be pretty well nothing first thing this morning and most of this morning in fact. But over the afternoon it has increased. So a little bit more rocky. The boat's moving about quite a bit. Anyway, so nice view of the sun setting here, and time for me, I think, to go and get a glass of wine and have my meal. I thought we'd take a little video of the sun sinking just in case it has a green flash, which I doubt very much, but it is clear on the horizon, and it's usually, the green flash is normally after the sun has gone down. You don't often see them actually. It's quite different from the green ring on the sun's green ring, which is what people often call a green flash, i.e. the edge of the sun turning green as it disappears. The green flash normally will occur after the sun has totally disappeared, a few seconds or a second or so after, and it's literally the flash of green lights up that part of the sky. So I'm just keeping an eye on it now to see what happens. Right, no green flash. Well, maybe a little blip. It probably was a bit of swell. Yeah. Anyway, so there we have our first day sunset. Here I am with my evening meal and a little bit of wine. I thought we ought to at least celebrate being on the water again, getting underway. Always great to be doing that. You never know what's going to be ahead. You have a vague idea which way you're going and so on, but you never know exactly what's going to happen. So it's always interesting to start out, always exciting to start out. So, yep. Cheers everyone, and whoops, we've got a bit of swell. So cheers, and here's to all your good health. So there's Venus above the western horizon, and above here we've got the Pleiades, and somewhere nearby is Taurus. Over here we've got the Orion and his belt. You can just see his belt there quite clearly. And the belt pointing down, of course, to Sirius, the dog star, which is pretty high. You know, now that we're further south, I'm it's not familiar to me to be so high. Normally it's quite low on the horizon. And of course the rest of Canis Major, the dog. So right, it's quite a lovely evening, not so cold that I'm feeling frozen. So a few more stars, see if I can get the Big Dipper, Great Bear, over here in the north. Well, it didn't show up at all, although I thought I was seeing it being recorded on the video, and likewise Cassiopeia. So obviously just a little bit too faint for the camera to get them. But for me out at sea, beautiful. Lovely, lovely time watching all the stars again with no light haze. Wonderful.